Hello, my name is Abhirup and welcome. This is my Shopify app which I made using TypeScript, NestJS, Redis, BullMQ, and a few other technologies. I chose NestJS because it helps me to organize my project and the code easily in a structured way. It is easier to add new modules, and because I wanted to learn TypeScript, so I decided to pick a framework along with it. So in this project I have various modules, and this is my main.ts file. You can see I'm setting up the database, creating the database if it doesn't exist. uh, I have my own logger class, and I have set up global pipes, validation pipes, and all these things I will discuss later on. But in this video I want to focus on the installation module, which uses the utils module, auth module, and inbuilt type orm module, actually a dynamic module. And then I set up Redis to set up my, hold on, uh, I'm not sure why this is here, but I have a separate jobs module in which I set up Redis. Anyway, I have an installation service, create store provider, create super admin, and nonce provider, which I will discuss later on. And now let's focus on the installation controller. So as you can see, I am setting up my custom logger class right here. We will take a look at that later on. And I am setting up all the instances of the installation service, util service, and job service. Config service is not used here. And from the config service, I am setting all the values in these variables right here. This controller has two endpoints. One is the slash, wait a sec, give me a sec. Yeah, right here. So the one endpoint is the slash Shopify slash auth endpoint, and the other one is the reroute, which is actually used for the installation part if it doesn't exist in the database. So you can see here, if it's a valid request, then it checks if it exists in the database or not. You can see that right here. We use a utility function which I have in my util service. We can go to that if we want. Let's do that now. Wait a sec, it's this function. And we use this store repository, which I am using type orm, and I am finding one store by entity. Okay, if the return value is not null and it the my Shopify domain the matches the shop in the query object we get. Well, actually it's a string, but okay. We don't need to check this right here. And then if it does exist, then we check if the token, the HMAC, wait a second, the access token in the database is valid or not. And then we check if the app is embedded. If it is embedded, I don't handle that functionality right now, so I have just left it empty. So if it's not embedded, I just redirect to the base URL, which redirects to my web app module, which contains this right here, the login page. So if it doesn't exist in the database, which means it's not hasn't ever been installed, then what it does is your Shopify redirects the request to this endpoint along with a new HMAG, which I validate using my function in utils module. So this is the pattern we check using this algorithm, and you need to provide your API secret, which you get from your admin dashboard. If yeah, then I just take a further step in validating the nonce. This is not required, but I read in the docs and the some forum that you should do this to have more security. So yeah, if all these things are valid, we send a request to Shopify. Right here, which uses another several functions, the major one being request to Shopify, which sends the actual request with all the headers. Yeah, here are the options which I have made, and as we can see, it has 3 fields. One is optional, which is data, which holds pairs of string and a corresponding value to it. They can be a boolean, integer, or string, or another object, an array. And then it has a URL, which is a string, and it has the headers part. This options object is used by request to Shopify method, and we are retrieving these shop details, so we target this resource, and for this shop, which is the shop domain, which is the name of the store, we set the headers using the setter functions of in the Axios header class. And then because we don't have any data, and the Shopify endpoint docs mention that this is a get request, should be a get request, So we set the headers and just send the request to Shopify. If the status code is 200, and they return a status variable value, and if that is true, we just return the response body. So I have another type declared here, which has four values. One is status, error, response body, and status code. And if anything occurs, an error occurs, then we I use my custom made logger class to save an error in the in a file, and also print it to a console. All this is awaited here. So after this executes, I then save the details to the database. I store this in this variable, and then when that is done, this is here for just temporary reasons. I just configure the webhooks using my jobs service. And if it the saving to database function was successful, then it logs that this has been successfully saved to the database, and installation process is done. And then when that is done, if it's not embedded, it returns to the login route that I just showed you a few moments ago. As you can see here, we are generating an OAuth URL to authorize our app for a certain shop. We are not actually using this endpoint right here. We are using this function get OAuth URL to generate a unique URL for each to generate a URL that will authorize our app for that particular store. And this function, we generate a random 16 characters long hexadecimal string, and we then store that value in the memory using Redis. We set the access scopes, which we read from the config file, and same with the redirect URL, and then we return this URL with all these values back to our controller. Which we then redirect to return the response to Shopify, which then redirects us to this route. And as you can see from this docs, Shopify always passes these three values whenever someone initiates a installation process for this store: a nonce value, an hmac value, and a shop parameter. So you must verify this hash string. And then when you want to get an access token for a particular store, you must provide these three values parameters to this endpoint. And as you can see, when we get redirected to the redirect URL, we request Shopify with these options right here, and we send a post request, as you can see that also here.